The following is an episode of the Grassroots Freedom Initiative podcast. This episode is the audio from videos released on our YouTube and Rumble channels. There may be times in this episode when we refer to information displayed on the screen that is impossible to provide in podcast format. However, links to the video version of this episode, as well as links to sources mentioned in this episode, can be found in this episode's show notes. Now, the Grassroots Freedom Initiative podcast. Ohio Secretary of State Frank LaRose likes to say that Ohio has gold standard elections. He and his PR team repeat this phrase over and over and over, hoping that if voters hear it enough, they'll believe it without question. But we are here to tell you Ohio is far from a gold standard election integrity state, and we are going to prove it, not with catchy slogans, but with facts and data. This video is an Ohio election integrity truth bomb. We'll also explore the legislative changes needed from the Ohio General Assembly to make our elections more secure. We've broken the problem down into four main categories: verification of voter eligibility, election system security and auditability, maintaining the accuracy of Ohio's voter rolls, and common sense changes to Ohio's election system. Verification of voter eligibility. Did you know that Ohio does not require, nor provide the means for, any of Ohio's 88 county boards of elections to verify citizenship and other voting eligibility criteria before adding someone to the voter rolls? This may sound unbelievable, but it's true. When presented with the option of connecting the BOEs, or boards of elections, to authoritative information system databases to verify voter eligibility, both Ohio's legislature and Secretary of State Frank LaRose oppose doing so. Do you know that once identified, non-citizens can remain on the voter rolls for up to 4 years before being removed? Do you know Ohio operates on an honor system for non-citizens to self-report that they broke the law by registering to vote? And they have to report it not once, but twice before they can be removed from the registered voter rolls. Ohio relies on self-reporting via the voter registration form, where applicants simply check a box affirming they're U.S. citizens. No one investigates further unless a red flag emerges, such as a non-citizen self-reporting after the fact, which is highly unlikely and honestly just plain absurd. Removing ineligible voters can take years because federal laws like the National Voter Registration Act, NVRA, restrict how aggressively states can clean up their rolls without definitive proof. We know this sounds ridiculous, but unfortunately, this is how Ohio election law currently works. Let's keep going. Did you also know that even though Ohio finally has a voter ID law, no ID is required to request or vote via an absentee ballot? That's like having a 2-car garage but only closing one door when you leave. Who knows what can happen while you're away? Ohio's absentee ballot ID loophole is baffling. House Bill 458, passed in 2023, requires photo ID for in-person voting, but absentee voters can use just the driver's license number or the last 4 digits of their Social Security number, no photo required. This is a weaker security measure, as those numbers can be easily stolen or guessed. Anyone can steal or buy another person's identity information and register to vote as them due to Ohio's lax authentication and verification standards. In fact, over 1 million Ohioans in each of the last 2 general elections voted by mail without providing photo ID verification, about a quarter or 25% of all votes cast. Again, we know it sounds absurd, but it's true. And finally, did you know that third-party organizations are paid to register voters in Ohio and have been caught submitting fraudulent voter registration forms to some of Ohio's 88 county boards of elections, yet they haven't been prosecuted? There is strong evidence of fraudulent voter registration by these third-party groups. Organizations like Black Fork Strategies have faced scrutiny for submitting questionable voter registration forms, but prosecutions are rare. The Secretary of State's office refers these cases to county prosecutors, but enforcement is inconsistent or non-existent. Stronger legislation, civil fines, criminal penalties, and mandatory investigations could help deter fraud, though enforcement ultimately depends on local prosecutors' willingness to act. We need legislation this General Assembly this year to require proof of citizenship verification at the County Board of Elections before registering a voter. Mandate photo ID for all votes cast, including absentee ballots. Institute civil and criminal penalties for third-party voter registration organizations that break the law, ensuring that law enforcement and prosecutors take election fraud seriously. Election system security and auditability. Nothing is more secure and auditable than paper ballots and hand counting. President Trump recently stated that this is the direction he wants to move toward. In the meantime, we must strengthen the cybersecurity of our election systems and improve the auditability of changes to the voter registration database. Ohio must adopt a cybersecurity risk management protocol and require election system suppliers to comply with up-to-date security standards. Currently, the Ohio Secretary of State's Board of Voting Machine Examiners continues to approve voting machines and tabulators certified under outdated 2005 security standards, despite Ohio Revised Code Section 3506.05 requiring certification to the most current 2021 standards. Frank LaRose is intentionally derelict here. He has been aware of this for years. Just to make a point here, remember Microsoft Windows Vista? Yeah, neither do I. That's the operating system Microsoft was hyping in 2005. Frank's okay with this. Again, I'm not kidding. We must also require all voter registration systems to utilize blockchain security and make it publicly accessible. This would create an immutable, transparent ledger, similar to a public Google Doc, where every edit is tracked and verifiable. This would allow Ohio citizens to verify voter registration database entries, effectively crowdsourcing election integrity. Additionally, Ohio must allow counties to adopt hand-marked paper ballots and manual counting. While Ohio law permits voters to request a paper ballot, votes are still counted electronically. Machines can be hacked or malfunction, and Ohio's cybersecurity standards lag behind best practices. LaRose's board continues to certify outdated systems. Allowing counties the option to switch to hand-counted ballots would be a major step towards securing elections. Maintaining the accuracy of Ohio's voter rolls. Ohio must require automatic removal from the voter rolls when an Ohio driver's license is surrendered for an out-of-state license. The BMV already shares data with the Secretary of State's office, but updates are slow, leaving gaps in the system. Linking surrendered licenses to immediate voter registration removal would fix this. Additionally, Ohio's voter registration system is non-compliant with federal law, the Help America Vote Act, or HAVA. Thousands of duplicate registrations exist in the voter database, with different state and county-assigned voter ID numbers. allowing the same person to vote multiple times. Legislation must require county boards of elections to remove all duplicate registrations at least 14 days before an election. Common sense changes to Ohio's election system. End no excuse absentee voting. Ohio must return to a valid excuse absentee ballot system as it had before 2005. No excuse absentee voting has essentially turned into mass mail-in voting, which increases fraud risks. Rasmussen recently reported that 64% of Americans, a supermajority of sorts, want to do away with no excuse absentee and mail-in ballots. Adopt conditional absentee ballot voting. Ballots should be held until eligibility is confirmed. Limit early voting to a maximum of 10 days. Ohio currently has a 30-day voting period, which is unnecessary and increases security risks and cost. Ban drop boxes and require ballots to be dropped off inside the Board of Elections office under strict security and video surveillance. Drop boxes are vulnerable to ballot stuffing and tampering. Statutorily ban ranked choice voting at all levels. Prohibit third-party absentee ballot request form distribution. Third-party absentee ballot request forms create confusion and increase the risk of errors and fraud. Preserve voter registration opt-in. Automatic voter registration should be outlawed, as should substituting other actions such as signing a candidate petition as a means of voter registration. Almost all of these important necessary improvements to Ohio's election system were included in two very similar bills in the last General Assembly, Ohio House Bill 472, or HB 472, and Ohio Senate Bill 274, SB 274. Frank LaRose was publicly quiet on these bills, but in the background, he and his staff fought to kill them, or, failing that, water them down to almost nothing. And this legislation is also being fought by the Ohio Association of Election Officials, or OAEO, a lobbyist group that you and I pay for that fights against election integrity. I kid you not. We've highlighted the OAEO in another video that's a must-watch. It's called Paying to Get Beat Up and is also a part of GFI's Truth Bomb video series. And our legislature, they appear not to care, only giving concerned Ohioans lip service, sound bites, and excuses. Until we get loud with our voices and our votes, Ohio's election system will continue to be a fool's gold standard. The bottom line, Ohio's elections are not gold standard. LaRose's claim is nothing more than political marketing to cover up a system riddled with vulnerabilities. If the Ohio General Assembly had the backbone, they would tackle these issues in 2025. But real change will only happen if citizens demand it. We must take this fight to lawmakers and rally the public. For the sake of our children and grandchildren, we need to secure Ohio's elections now. This video is brought to you by the Grassroots Freedom Initiative, or GFI for short. If you're not already on our email and text lists, please be sure to join our network of thousands of Ohioans. It's easy, free, and we won't ask you for money. Visit gfiohio.com and click the Join Us button in the upper right-hand corner of any page, or text GFI to 66866 and follow the prompts. And please be sure to find and follow us on YouTube and Rumble. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, and give us a like to be made aware when we post new content. Thanks for watching. Please remember to stay informed and get engaged.